Hello everyone and welcome to Season 7, Episode 48 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in CHIKARA history with match number 3 on our list, which is the Lucha de Apuesta Masks versus Hair match between the Colony of Soldier Ant and Fire Ant and Team Fist of Chuck Taylor and Icarus from the CHIKARA Aniversario Yang event held on May the 24th, 2009. Another very famous match, one that no doubt I'm sure you were expecting would show up on this countdown, and no doubt we're expecting it to be high on the list like it is. This is a match that for a lot of people, I think they probably consider it the best match in CHIKARA history. It's no doubt the best rivalry in CHIKARA history, reaching its apex match. We've already talked about the feud between these teams when we talked about their finals at King of Trios 2011, which saw the Colony win King of Trios over Fist. And I talked about that match having lots of callbacks to this match in particular, as well as the other encounters in their feud. So this was about as personal as a grudge as you could possibly get in CHIKARA. These two teams, for better or for worse, were kind of linked to each other. They had a series of matches that continued to escalate. Both teams being trios, Chuck and Icarus, along with Gran Akuma comprising Fist, and the Colony having originally Worker Ant, who was sidelined by Team Fist. They essentially ended his career. That brought in Green Ant as the replacement. Really, it was Worker Ant being taken out of commission, eating the Omega Driver, the Awful Waffle, whatever you want to call it, from Chuck Taylor on the floor. That really made this feud kind of kick into overdrive. We saw Fist win King of Trios 2009, put that feather in their cap. We went, immediately after King of Trios back to this feud, and it eventually spiraled out of control, both teams committing fouls on each other. That really the only way to settle this was to put them in the ultimate match in CHIKARA, Lucha de Apuesta, put the masks on the line, put the hair on the line. Really interesting here was that, this was a tag match when this really was kind of a predominantly trios rivalry, but Green Ant was very, very new. I'm not even sure if he had a match at this point, come Aniversario Yang, and Gran Akuma on the Fist side of things was already bald, so couldn't really put his hair up. So we had the tag team match instead. We have Green Ant, as the corner person for the Colony in this match. We have Gran Akuma out there, supporting Fist. And this is just, as heated as a tag team grudge match as you are going to get in CHIKARA. It's at the ECW arena. The crowd is super into it. They are completely behind the Colony, which makes all of the near falls and all of the drama and the emotion that much hotter. But this really feels like a match between four guys that do not like each other, that have that personal grudge, and are fighting with all of their heart and being. We get a big brawl to start before the bell. We get, tons of intensity here. Icarus and Soldier Ant are, dropping each other on their heads with German suplexes, no-selling them and fighting spiriting them, on the inside. On the outside, Fire Ant and Chuck Taylor are whipping each other into guardrails and dropping each other throat first on the rails and everything like that. We eventually get some little bit of a semblance of structure, and things slow down a little bit. We get an elongated heat sequence on Soldier Ant, but it has that extra intensity to it. Both members of Fist are constantly, grabbing at the mask and grabbing the antenna on the mask. They rip open, the costume of Soldier Ant to allow chops to the exposed chest. We have moves that, could be match enders just being used for, extra damage. Icarus busts out a pile driver very early in this match. So, everything that these guys are doing to each other, it is to punish. Soldier Ant fires back. He ends up getting a big lariat on Icarus, which was a little bit of a shout out to Worker Ant. Worker Ant went through this weird stage where he kind of thought he was like Stan Hansen and started wearing a vest and throwing lariats and things like that. And then something that I loved, keeping up with that intensity, rather than make the hot tag to Fire Ant, after, Icarus bails off that lariat, he follows with a Pescado out to the floor, which forces the tag, but again, keeps that intensity and keeps that fight to it. Once the Colony starts to get rolling, they hit a big, double team, double stomp off the top onto both guys. We see Fist kind of settle into their normal Fistisms, all of the cheating and those rudo tactics that we expect from them. They bring a chair in the ring to distract Bryce Remsburg, and while his back is turned, he gets bumped. The big spot of this match is Soldier Ant getting taken out with an awful waffle from Chuck Taylor off the ring apron through a table on the floor, which was totally brutal. They sell that like absolute death. Soldier Ant gets carried out. During, all of the chaos and confusion, it allows Fire Ant, to get beat down by Fist. He eats a pedigree. He gets a beach break in there at some point as a counter, but, Bryce is out. There's no referee. And it leads into the next segment of the match, which is essentially a handicap match. It's 2-on-1 on Fire Ant. They do a really great job with this, with Fist just cutting out the legs from underneath them. Again, really trying to punish. Icarus goes for the pedigree on the ring steps, and Fire Ant gets, a bit of a counter with a back body drop onto the apron. But again, every time Fire Ant tries to get back into it, he's cut off. They do a lot of teases of a DQ for excessive punishment. So, ripping at the mask, and Icarus, pulling Fire Ant up from pinfalls. And this really fit, Fist billing as the most dangerous trio in CHIKARA at that point, where, they could have went for the win. They could have protected their hair, taken the masks of their rivals, but they're so devious and dastardly that they chose instead to beat down Fire Ant. They knew they had the numbers advantage. They knew there was nothing Fire Ant can do. And really, that personal grudge that had developed here, they wanted to pulverize him and punish him as much as humanly possible. So he ends up in the Kentucky Crawdad, the half crab from Chuck Taylor, which was what won Fist King of Trios. Bryan Danielson famously submitting to that move in the finals of King of Trios 09. But of course, we get the big moment where Soldier Ant makes his way back out to the ring. Gran Akuma tries to cut him off, and Green Ant kind of takes the bullet there instead. Soldier tries to get back in the ring to break up the Crawdad. Akuma still hangs onto his foot. We see the debut of Carpenter Ant, basically this mysterious kind of tan color ant come out to stop Gran Akuma. We would later find out that was Pinky Sanchez, infiltrating the colony as part of the BDK, but that's another story for another time. But we would get that debut that would allow Soldier Ant to come in, make the save on the Crawdad. Fire Ant, gets to be a complete house of fire at this point. He gets a big tope con hilo. He gets a moonsault into a tornado DDT. He hits the heat of the moment off the top for 2. Fist again trying with whatever they can, low blows, distractions, everything you can imagine. But Fire Ant keeps on fighting. And it leads into, these big spots at the end and a finish that I love so much. So Icarus goes for a super sliced bread number 2 off the top. That ends up getting countered. Fire Ant hits a fireman's carry to him off the top rope onto the pile of bodies. Green Ant, Carpenter Ant, Akuma, everybody that's on the floor. But during all of this chaos, he ends up eating the Omega Driver from Chuck Taylor once again. This time it's only good for 2. And what I really, really love is, like I said, the finish to this match. It's so great. So you have Fire Ant, who just got dumped on his head with the move that took Soldier Ant out for, a good third of the contest. Fire Ant's on the ropes. Soldier Ant, he came back. He's valiant. He could have tried to force a tag or something like that and step in, but he had so much faith in Fire Ant, so much faith in his partner. He knew that Fire Ant could do it. So instead, what Soldier Ant ends up doing is he sacrifices himself with a big tope to the floor, takes out Icarus. It leaves Fire Ant and Chuck Taylor in the ring. And again, Soldier knows that this is Fire Ant's moment. He won the Young Lions Cup. He can do it for his team. Chuck Taylor goes for the Omega Driver once more. It gets countered into a beach break for 2, a final Yahtzee kick from Fire Ant, and one more beach break on Chuck Taylor. Puts him down for 3. Super satisfying finish. It's got that emotion involved of this team that, had been together through thick and thin, from the Tag World Grand Prix in 2006 making their debut, all the way here 3+ years later, through the loss of their friend and worker ant, through it all, through the disappointment of, gaining all of the points, winning the 2008 Tag World, but still losing to the Osirian Portal in their bid for the tag belts, to the disappointment of being boxed out of King of Trios by Fist, who would ultimately go on to win that, to finally get their moment. And it was Soldier Ant knowing that his partner could do it, trusting his partner. Really, really beautiful storytelling. The post-match for this is obviously great. You get the haircuts. They leave both Icarus and Chuck Taylor basically with a haircut like mine, with long hair at the sides, but nothing up top there. Embarrassing them. That would lead to Chuck Taylor, wearing a toque and using that green spray to try to grow his hair back. That we talked about in the Golden Dream match at Young Lions Cup 09. So a bit of a fun stuff coming out of this, but really, absolutely amazing match in front of a hot crowd at the ECW arena. Great storytelling, a great finish, a great satisfying post-match with the heels getting their comeuppance. Just an all-around classic match. A match that certainly people think of when they think Chikara. And, like I said, the best match between what is undoubtedly the best feud that Chikara ever produced. And a feud that, they would constantly go back to throughout the years with every new incarnation of both Fist and the Colony. We would always see these teams, linked together. We talk about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and guys like that being destined to fight forever. That's the Colony and Fist. This match, of course, you can watch on independentwrestling.tv. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again next time as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.